In this video, I'm going to share my workflow of how to get from this sound quality in Suno to this. The purpose of this video is to get you closer to production quality music with AI as a companion. Many of you who are seeing this video have already heard the difference of the full track. But if you haven't heard it yet, then I suggest that you pause the video here and first listen to the starting point in Suno and the completed track on SoundCloud. Links are in the description. As some of you have pointed out, there are some significant differences between the starting point in Suno and the completed track. And how all of that came together is what I'm going to explain in this video. Alright, the workflow can be divided into steps. The steps are lyrics and structure, starting point, generate ideas in Suno, generate the actual material that you will use, download and arrange the best parts in a DAW, and in step 5 we're going to use a stem splitter to isolate the vocals and instruments. And then we'll clean up those stems. The 7th step is the completed part that is uploaded back to Suno that you will extend. And then the 8th step is to generate those extensions. Then we'll again download the best parts and bring it all together in step 9. Step 10 is to select a reference track for mastering. And the final step is to perform the mastering and release the track. I'm first going to lay out these steps briefly and then explain each of them one at a time in depth. So let's take a short explanation of each step. First of all is step 0, which is to begin with lyrics and structure. Step 10, as we recall, is to select a reference track for mastering. But you should already listen to some music for reference and take notes of elements that you want to include in your release. I remember reading once that you have some thousands of thoughts daily, and that the significant majority of those thoughts will be the same as the previous day. For that reason, I have a list of words that I want to make up the majority of my thoughts. If you've heard my music before, you've probably already noticed that it's about positive concepts such as inspiration, gratitude, liberty, unity, humanity, life, joy, love, truth, and such. If you're stuck and just need a quick start, just write a bunch of words that you feel empower you and generate a draft. You can always edit the draft later. If you're not interested in lyrics and just want to create an instrumental track, you should still have some idea about the structure. Then we're ready for step 1, the starting point. The first thing that you need when you have decided on genre, lyrics, the elements that you want to include and have some idea of the structure is a hook, a melody, or a drop. Something that will catch some attention and make your track memorable. I usually create the melody first and upload that and use that as the starting point. But in this track, I did some generations in Suno until I got a drop that really caught my attention. So step 2 then is to generate ideas, to get the other key parts, still searching for something that catches your attention. I've thought about making a video specifically about prompting and catchiness of tracks, and if that's something that you're interested in, you can subscribe and let me know in the comments. When you have a hook, a melody, and a drop, it's time for step 3, which is to generate the actual material that you're going to use to structure the arrangement. It could be that you're lucky and you already have those parts, but for example in the starting point I have shared on Suno, the melody is absolute crap and there is no hook, but the drop really caught my attention. So that was what I started with for step 3. If you're generating the starting point without uploading, you will use a persona to get material that will fit somewhat together with what you already have. And if you're beginning with something that you have created, use cover and extend. But make sure that if it's necessary to trim the audio, do so before uploading to Suno, because Suno severely degrades the audio quality when they're doing the trimming. Also, make sure that you name the generations that contain interesting elements and where they are, so it's easy to find later. When you have some pieces that you're satisfied, you are at step 4. So download the best parts and put them together in your DAW of choice. Use similar or same synths and recreate bad sounds and add elements that you feel are missing. First of all, you want to replace any sub-bass and then add an equalizer to cut away the bass from your Suno generated audio. You're almost always going to want to replace standard sounds as well as add drums, impacts, rises, fills and reverses, atmospheric sounds that will fill out the soundscape. If possible, use similar generations to achieve vocal doubling. I'm creating a free Vital Synth preset pack specifically for the most common Suno synth sounds. So if you subscribe, you will be ready when it's out. The 5th step is to do stem splitting, to isolate the vocals, and if there's something you really want to keep from the instruments or drums, you will split the stems further. Just make sure that you use a good stem splitter. For this track, I just kept it simple and split vocals and the instruments only. I use Ultimate Vocal Remover 5 for that. If you want me to make a specific video about Ultimate Vocal Remover 5 and how you can use that to split more stems than only vocals and instruments, even specific samples, then subscribe and let me know in the comments. The 6th step is to then improve the audio quality of the stems that you have split. If the vocals need improving, you can remaster the isolated audio in Suno. Both the vocals and the instrument tracks can be cleaned up like that. If you want me to make another video specifically about how to get better vocals using Suno, subscribe and let me know in the comments. For step 7, you're going to want to complete around 2 minutes that you will then upload to Suno to create extensions. I like to make the final 10 to 20 seconds manually without anything generated, so that Suno has something clean that it can extend upon. So in the 8th step, we're now back in Suno and generating material again. This will often be a lot easier than to create a starting point. Again, name the generations with timestamps so that you know what you wanted to use. Then in the 9th step, you will download the best ideas again and bring it all together in the DAW, basically completing the track. And this is where most will usually do the mixing. But I think that there's a lot to say about mixing. And I think that you should do the mixing as you're creating the track, rather than putting it off to the end. Also, I think you should do mixing with everything active. Another important thing to mention about mixing is this key principle. The purpose of mixing is not to make the mix work, it is to make the track work. Mixing is about making everything fit together and pop. Again, you're tying back to the key concepts of memorability, the hook, the melody, and the drop. Then we're at step 10. You should already be listening to some tracks for reference. But this is a step where you select a specific one as reference for the mastering. You need to make sure that it's high quality, preferably in WAV format. When you're only listening to your own track a lot, you're going to get very confined into that. So it's quite important that you have some reference that you can get out of your own space with, in order to have some references of what things should sound like and to get some ideas of what kind of soundscape you need. The final step then is to master the track using Matchering, either in UVR5 or Comfy UI. I'm going to show you the basics of how to do it in this video. Before we go into how to do each step in more detail, I will just recap on the ideas I have for future videos. I've thought about making a video specifically about prompting and catchiness of tracks. I'm working on releasing a free Vital preset pack specifically for the most common Suno synth sounds. I want to make one about Ultimate Vocal Remover and how we can use that to split more stems than only vocals and instruments, even specific samples. Another video specifically is about how to get better vocals using Suno. And I have one idea specifically about reference-based AI mastering using Matchering. So for that reason I ask you to subscribe and please let me know in the comments what you're most interested in. Perhaps you have even more ideas. Okay, so now we're going to get into each step in detail and I'm just going to show you how I'm thinking here. We begin with step 0, lyrics and structure. Before I get into the track I'm mainly demonstrating in this video, let's talk a bit about prompting. My conclusion after some 1,000 generations is to keep it simple. Some people swear by what they call super prompts, where you use both the style prompt and the lyrics prompt to describe the track you want in detail. I find it more effective to just use a simple prompt and then do multiple generations until you get lucky. Either way, you're going to have to make several generations, because quality Suno music is largely dependent on persistence and luck. The reason is because Suno's prompt adherence is quite varied. Sometimes it will do what you ask for, and sometimes it won't. Sometimes it will surprise you and create something really amazing, and sometimes it will just generate something flat and generic or even useless junk. Here are two generations that I've created with the same prompt. I've made a detailed prompt in the lyrics section, written in brackets so that it will be treated as instructions rather than actual lyrics. And I've described the style of the music in the style section. Let's listen to the first example. This is actually quite a good generation, and I think I'm definitely using that build up and drop for the next track. It kind of followed the prompt, but I didn't hear any unique synths or any catchy hook. Also, it definitely didn't have any uplifting melodies, and it didn't reflect a sense of positivity. But let's also listen to the next one and also create two more generations. I know that the first one was more luck than anything. I also feel like a simple prompt would have a similar likelihood of generating something of the same quality. I'm going to play the second example and modify the prompt a bit as it's playing. Some people seem to think that you can add things in brackets and that Suno will always interpret that as instructions for sections. You can find guides online about how to do this. But in my experience, keeping things simple here works best too, because Suno will quite loosely follow these instructions. I think it's important to work with the tool that you have instead of trying to make it do what you want. Because if you're cooperating with Suno on its terms, you're going to get a better result. In these two examples, it didn't work at all, and both these generations are going straight to the trash. Now let's look at step 1, the starting point. Here I have the starting point for Essence of Life. I've also added the original lyrics in the song details. I've also showed which parts of the lyrics were replaced later. As you can see, the style prompt is simple. The lyrics are simple, and Suno has ignored some of the instructions in the brackets, such as female singer, for example. One thing that definitely works is adding verse, chorus, and bridge. And something I think works quite well is to add these long melodic intro or long melodic interlude and dubstep drop tags. But it definitely doesn't always work as well as the standards, verse, chorus, and bridge. Those tags will basically always work. I'm not going to play this because I expect that you have already heard it. If you still haven't listened to the starting point and the finish track, I suggest again that you pause the video here and listen to those first. It will be easier to follow along. And still, the links are in the description. It's time for the next step, which is to generate ideas. I already had quite a clear vision of what I wanted to do with this drop. I had to get rid of the melody and I wanted it to start with female vocals. So I created a persona from the starting point. Here you can see the first generation using that persona. I've made the style prompt green and added the original one below as a comparison. As you can see, there are only slight differences. I've added beautiful singing, removed IDM, and replaced epic catchy melody with epic brutal catchy melody. I also changed the lyrics a bit. However, if we listen to this generation, it's almost identical to the persona, and it has ignored the change in lyrics.
Friendship strong like the roots where they grow. Side by side, true vibes how we flow. Life to live, free for be who we be. No chance, power, spirit, yeah, we live in unity. Liberty and love, that are the breeze.
So I altered the style prompt a bit more and did another generation. But even though this one is half a minute longer, it's again fundamentally identical to the persona one. However, at timestamp 232, there was a really nice voice sample that I definitely wanted to use. So this time I changed the lyrics a bit more and drastically changed the style to just beautiful singing and female vocals. Now, even though this generation wasn't good, it worked.
Family tight like the bond where we share. Walk together, true love everywhere. Happiness rise, we'll face the sun. Together we stand, the journey never done. Liberty and love, that's how the breeze. One heart, one soul, make the blessings release. Rhythm solstice, we are chant and sing. True friends for life, them are born with the king.
So I did some more generations and finally got to this one.
Family tight like the bond where we share. Walk together, true love everywhere. Happiness rise, we face the sun. Together we stand, the journey never done. Liberty and love, that are the breeze. One heart, one soul, make the blessings release.
Now, step 2 is usually longer than this, but I was lucky and just had to fix the lyrics, so we're basically done with both step 2 and 3. At this point, Suno version 4 had just been released, so I remastered the result. However, after having remastered several times, I was not satisfied with the drop that version 4 made.
Family tight like the bond where we share. Walk together, true love everywhere.
We make, we walk with the light, yeah, shine from above. We live with the spirit, we heart full of love.
So the only thing I ended up taking from that was the improved vocals. I did, however, get 2 very similar generations, and that's important to get some nice vocal doubling, as we'll see in the next step. So I downloaded 2 versions of the version 3.5 drop, the one with the King sample and the best vocal generations. So let's look at these in Bitwig, which is the digital audio workstation I used for this. If you want the completely free DAW, then I highly recommend the link in the description. So here we are now in 𝚃𝚢𝘐, the DAW I used for this track. And I've already added the generations from Suno that I want to use. Since Suno doesn't keep a fixed number of BPM, beats per minute, we're going to have to fix that. Let's listen to what it sounds like right now. Okay, everything is out of order and it's too slow. We're going to have to trim the audio, set the correct overall tempo, and correct each generation to a fixed BPM. 𝚃𝚢𝘐 has the time stretching mode called Elastic Pro, which is a widely used algorithm developed by Z-Plane Development. It is the best one I know of. If you have an even better suggestion on how to fix tempo of audio, please share that in the comments. We can also see that the tempo is around 150 BPM for each audio. So let's set the project tempo to that and listen again. Alright, the tempo is okay, so let's correct the BPM for each track. The first thing I do is to trim the beginning. Then I activate the stretch markers and remove all of the ones that 𝚃𝚢𝘐 has added automatically, because they're basically always going to be wrong for a fully mixed audio with variable tempo. Then comes the task of manually setting stretch markers on the beat and fix each file. I will speed up the video for this part. Okay, now the first generation is fixed. When we look at the next one, we see that it begins before the first beat. There is a trick to begin the sequencer before the first beat, and that is to add a time signature change there, which allows us to move it. Let's remove all the stretch markers here too. Notice that this one has the wrong lyrics. That is because the complete version with correct lyrics has an artifact at the beginning. Listen. So we'll just have to patch these two together to get a perfect result. First, we align the two audio files, cut them, and put them in the same audio track. Now we can hear that there is a noticeable click when these shift from one to the other. We'll easily fix that with a crossfade. Now let's align both completed tracks and remove the stretch markers from the second one too. These are both out of sync with each other and with the master tempo. So we'll have to add stretch markers manually on the beat and fix the tempo for these as well. Again, I will speed up the video during this process. There. Now both audio tracks have a fixed BPM and they're in sync with each other. Now I'm just going to adjust the volumes, since Suno will generate audio with different volumes too. The reason why I use two similar audio tracks from different generations is because it makes the vocals richer. This is a common mixing trick to add texture, thicken the tone, and mask pitch problems. With Suno generations, vocal doubling will also sometimes create really nice harmonies. Listen when I'm playing, adjusting the volumes and playing each generation separately and together. You can hear the difference.
Together we stand in the journey we run. Liberty and love, that are the breeze. One heart, one soul, let the blessings release. Rhythm solstice, we are sing and be fine. True friends for life, them are one like divine.
If you double the exact same sound, it will simply double in volume. So it's important that there is some difference between the audio tracks that you are doubling. Now listen to the drop from version 4.
Walk with the yeah, shine from above. We live with the spirit, we're heart full of love.
I really didn't like that, which was why I included the 3.5 version as well. So let's just listen to that. Then I'll export the audio and split vocals and instruments in Ultimate Vocal Remover. So step 5 is going to be very quick here. I'm not going to go into depth with this tool as basic splitting is so simple. I've actually literally just opened the program, loaded the exported audio and just used the default settings. Again, if you want me to make a video about how to use Ultimate Vocal Remover to split more than just 2 parts, you can subscribe and let me know in the comments. So here we are back in Bitwig and I've split the tracks here. I've also added all of the other elements and completed this file. So here are the sub bass, res bass and pads that replace the bad quality sounds from Suno. I will play the audio for the split instruments from the Suno generation. It's going to be low in volume because I have cut away the bass from the generated audio. Now let's listen with the manual added elements. At this point, the instrumentation from Suno is useless, so we'll just remove it here. Now the introduction is clean. Suno used the simple sub bass and standard res bass at the beginning, so I could easily replace those with the free VST synth Vital. Let's listen to the isolated vocals.
Family tight like the bond that we share. Walk together, true love everywhere.
It's actually quite okay already. You can see here that I've added a reverb effect. Borealis LE is a free VST reverb that works excellent on vocals. I've added the download link in the description. Now we'll listen to the vocals together with the replaced instruments.
Family tight like the bond that we share. Walk together, true love everywhere. Happiness rise, we face the sun. Together we stand in the journey we run. Liberty and
I actually think that sounds good enough. During the drop, the vocals track has some artifacts. So I'm just going to remove those as well. Then I'll just remove the generated instruments from the vocal part after the first drop. And that's it for step 6 too. Of course, there's a lot more that you can do here, but I feel that cleaning up vocals is worth the video by itself. So if that's something you're interested in, just let me know in the comments. Now let's have a look at what I've done for step 7 to prepare the part that is uploaded to Suno to get extended. I will play the whole part without the Suno generated stuff. First, we have the vocals together with the clean instruments. I've only used free synths and samples here, and I've prepared the presets in the free VST synth Vital. As already mentioned, I'm working on a free Vital preset pack with the working name Timothy Suno Essential Sounds. It currently contains around 200 presets. If that's something you're interested in, subscribe so that you will be notified when it's completed. Then we have the drop, which is the Suno generated part expanded with synths and samples. This is followed by another vocal part and another drop. Notice that the drop has nothing from Suno. That is so that when we extend, Suno will have something clean to extend on. This part is basically just dubstep sounds and drums. So let's export this and then upload that to Suno. Here in Suno, we have 2 uploads and a list of generated extensions. I have colored the ones that I selected in green. I've also named them with a descriptive title, which includes a timestamp of where the interesting bit can be found. Below that are 2 generations which I found interesting, but didn't end up using, as well as a generation which has a nice melody that can be used for a future track. And then at the bottom are some generations without anything interesting. This part is basically the same as always when generating with Suno. It's mostly a matter of luck and persistence. Sometimes you will be surprised and Suno will take your music in an unexpected positive direction. Sometimes you'll get somewhat what you wanted, and sometimes it will generate something that immediately goes into the trash. The absolutely most important thing for getting good extensions is that you have good quality on your upload. So the most important thing to mention here is that when you upload, you must have trimmed your audio before. I'm going to play for you these 2 uploads so that you can clearly hear the difference in quality when Suno does the trimming.
Family tight like the bond that we share. Walk together, true love. Family tight like the bond that we share. Walk together, true love everywhere. Family tight like the bond that we share. Family tight like the bond that we share.
Another thing to mention is that when you generate, if there is something you like that you want to save as ideas for future music, make sure that you name those generations accordingly. I will play 2 examples for you.
In the dance of life, we are walking multitude. Strengthen we bond, unity in gratitude. True friends for life, them are born like the vine. Essence of life in each breath we take. Freedom.
Okay, now it's time to complete, master, and release the track. Extensions are usually a lot easier to use than material generated from prompts only, which is why I often start a track by creating and uploading a melody and either extend or cover that to get the starting point. The earlier you can involve yourself to get clean audio, the sooner you will have clean generations. I have arranged the 3 extensions from Suno into 2 channels, without cutting out the bass. Because the quality was good enough for these specifically, and because I wanted to finish the track so I could get started with this tutorial, this part has no replaced sounds. So the final part is simply the Suno extensions with some extra elements, and I think it sounds okay. I played this without the Suno sounds so that you can hear what was added and then turn everything on towards the end.
Rhythm solstice, we a bring life now. True friends for life, them a go on.
We devour.
By our side, we take on the light. The liberty and peace are the purest.
And that's it for step 9. Now in the 10th step, you'll need to select a reference track for the mastering. The two important things here are that it's a track that has a soundscape that has impressed you, and that you can get the track in uncompressed quality. It's quite easy to find this on SoundCloud. Just search for a free download and include the genre or even an artist that you like. Even top artists in a genre will occasionally release full quality free downloads as a promotion. Just make sure that you don't break any licensing rules. If you can't find any reference track for free, then you can buy a full quality download for $1 or $2. If you stick with the same genre, you're likely to reuse the same track as reference multiple times. You can also ask professional producers on any forum of your choice for recommendations on a reference track or something like, what is your favorite reference track for this genre? So now we are at the final stage, mastering. The most customizable way that I know of using Matchering is to use Comfy UI. I'm not going to go through how to set up and use it in this video, but if that's something you're interested in, let me know in the comments, as I've thought about making a video about that, explaining all of these parameters and how to get the best results. The easiest way to use Matchering is to simply use Ultimate Vocal Remover for that too. Simply choose Audio Tools for the process method, Matchering as the audio tool, and then set your completed track as the target audio and set your selected reference. Click Start Processing, and you're done. I will now play the entire track unmastered and mastered, shifting back and forth between the two so that you can hear the difference.
Family tight like the bond that we share. Walk together, true love everywhere. Happiness rise, we face the sun. Together we stand in the journey we run. Liberty and love, that are the breeze. One heart, one soul, let the blessings release. Rhythm solstice, we are sing undefined. True friends for life, them are one like divine.
Essence of life in each breath we take. Freedom in the soul, no regrets we'll make. We walk in the light, you shine from above. We live in the spirit, we're heart full of love. Divine, deep in the chest, spirit empowering, Jah, we wrestling, strong bonds tight, true loyalty, essence of the life, to live truly free.
Liberty and love, that are the breeze. One heart, one soul, make the blessings release. From the hills to the sea, we are chant and sing. True friends for life, them are one with the king. One with the king. Them are one with the king. One with the king. solstice, we a bring life now. True friends for life, them a go on.
We devour.
Always in the heart, shine like divine. The love of the smart, with friends by our side. We take on the light, the liberty and peace are the purest.
And that's it for this tutorial. If you're interested in any of the upcoming videos that I have, then just let me know in the comments what you're most interested in. I definitely appreciate to know what you find most interesting, as I'm essentially making this for you. Thank you very much for watching.